What's going on, guys? Jason Phillips here, owner and founder of the Nutritional Coaching Institute. And one of the biggest questions I get is, what foods should I be eating to burn fat? Well, instead of just giving you a list, I thought I would take you on a trip with me to Whole Foods, where we're gonna pull those foods off the shelf. I'll explain to you exactly how you can set up your fat burning meal plan using these specific foods. Let's go. All right, so here we are, Whole Foods, clearly organic. You gotta have all organic foods to lose fat. So we're gonna start in the fruits and vegetables section because, well, I don't know. I think that those are gonna help me burn some fat. So let's see what we can find. Kale? No. Celery? Celery juice? No. Fuck that. Bananas. Well, I do like bananas, but I don't see any jars of peanut butter around here, so I'm not gonna get those. All right, I think I found the first one. All right, guys, we got everything. Let's head back to the room and I'll share with you exactly what we have. All right, guys, we're back here in the room and we've got our 5 fat burning foods. I wanted to share them with you so that you can begin implementing them in your life. And so here we are. First, we got Stacy's Pita Chips Simply Naked. Absolutely delicious. But let's be honest, pita chips are not nearly as good without some hummus. Fat burning food number 2. Fat burning food number 3, my all-time favorite, white chocolate peanut butter cups. Reese's, come on, we need the white chocolate. Can't just be Justin's. Number 4, and I actually just ate this off camera, Perfect Bar chocolate chip peanut butter, absolutely delicious. And number 5, maybe the best for last, Ben & Jerry's half baked. Absolutely the single best fat burning food there is. So, you're probably watching this and you're like, all right, is this a joke? There's no way in hell that those are 5 fat burning foods, but I promise you they are, and I'm gonna explain to you right now why this can in fact work in your fat loss journey. All right, so you're probably asking yourself, how in the world are those 5 incredibly delicious foods going to help me burn fat? And the simple truth is I could have chosen any 5 foods in Whole Foods and called them fat burning foods, because there's no food that inherently has more fat burning properties than any other food. Now, some may have higher thermic effects, but that in and of itself is not really going to burn any significant amounts of fat. So I intentionally chose 5 carbohydrate sources because everybody's like, carbs are bad. They're not bad. No food is bad. Get that through your head now. So let's jump in and understand, how does fat burning actually occur, and then I'll help you understand how these foods work into your plan. So first, to lose fat, there has to be 3 things that you need to understand. First, you must be in a calorie deficit. Now, this must be an appropriate calorie deficit. We know that extreme calorie deficits will ultimately yield metabolic adaptation that will prevent the fat burning process, okay? So we want you in like a relative calorie deficit. 500, 750 on average is a great place to start. So you can get more aggressive. You're gonna have to refeed somewhat regularly to avoid metabolic adaptation. So that's higher level principles, not for this video. Number 2, you need to have adequate protein. Part of the diet process is we want to spare as much lean tissue as possible. So we wanna have adequate protein. We wanna be resistance training. The more you're training, the more output you have, the more protein you likely need, okay? So if you're relatively sedentary and you're not resistance training, you don't need as much protein. But if you are resistance training, you wanna have enough to make sure you're recovering from that, and slightly higher protein diets are going to help spare that lean tissue, ultimately leaving you in a better place metabolically, okay? And then the third thing is understanding the ratio of carbs to fat. And science is actually pretty clear here. It tells us that if you are in a calorie deficit, if you are eating adequate protein, the ratio of carbs to fat should not matter in terms of burning fats. Now, this is what science says. I can tell you empirically, working with individuals, a lot of variables come into play. The types of activity, the volume of stress, ultimately metabolic flexibility, those things are definitely gonna come into play when determining these ratios. So I know science says it doesn't matter. I can tell you real life application, it does matter a little bit. Success leaves clues. If I look at a dieter's history, they've dieted better on carbs and fats, we're probably gonna work with that. But if insulin sensitivity is compromised, we're probably gonna do more fats than carbohydrates until we can get that fixed. So 3 things you always need to consider. Number 1, be in a deficit. Number 2, have enough protein. Number 3, the ratio of carbs to fats, likely going to be stress dependent, but science tells us it really doesn't matter. Now, once you understand that, we need to understand, where do you fit in this diagram that we call the triangle of awareness. And so what you can see at each point is 3 different sets of goals. There's performance, there's aesthetics, and longevity. And you have to ask yourself, what are my current goals? Well, if you say, I want fat loss, and all you care about is fat loss, then we would actually say that this circle here represents your goals. Now, what you need to understand about this circle is it is maximal distance away from performance and maximal distance away from life or longevity. which means in an effort to lose fat, you don't care about your performance. You can get weaker in the gym, you can suck in the gym, right? You may not perform well anywhere else, like maybe not the bedroom, and you're also not going to feel very good, right? Your sleep might become compromised, you might be moody, you might lose focus, you might lose energy. Now, if that is your goal, fantastic. But understand, being maximal distance from health, the types of foods are not going to matter. And we've seen this in bodybuilding, right? There's lots of bodybuilders that have used macro-based diets where as long as they had the right amount of calories, the right amount of protein, the right amount of fiber, they truly could eat anything they wanted. And I've watched bodybuilders do it with Pop-Tarts, ice cream, pita chips, peanut butter cups. All the things that we bought at Whole Foods just now, they were consuming, they were able to get themselves as ripped as possible. But remember, losing fat and being super healthy, feeling good, having maximal focus, having the best blood work in the world, those are mutually exclusive. They are not the same thing, and we have to stop treating them like they're the same things. Do I believe that you should be eating pita chips and peanut butter cups and ice cream in an effort to be the healthiest version of you? Absolutely not. Do I believe you can have them in moderation and still be very healthy and still look very good? Absolutely. Do I believe you can look your absolute best, not necessarily be your healthiest, and still have those foods? I 100% do. So at the end of this day, what we're looking at here is two very different things. When you want to lose fat, the actual types of foods are not going to be as important as most people are making them out to be. But you have to understand what your goals are. If you want to lose fat and you still want to keep your health status as high as possible, you're probably going to want to choose more micronutrient dense foods than the ones that we have introduced in this video. At the end of the day, you have to have the education, you have to have the proper application if ultimately you, my friends, are going to choose impact over everything.